So I work within teaching and learning and development. So I work with people on a one-to-one basis, as well as corporate and in small or large groups. I work as English, literature, language, English as a second language. I also teach history, psychology, law, business, a lot of the core subjects. But as well as that, I also work with corporate organisations as well, and I work within their structure, their people structure, their business objectives, their goals, and the talent management within that team. Actually, I find it easier. I think it's important in this line of work to have a high level of compassion and empathy and to work with people well. And I think when you have a high level of emotional intelligence and you're able to work with people on an interpersonal skill, language is less of a barrier. And because of that, you're able to develop a relationship, you're able to understand each other, and that's why actually in the long term, the language is less of a barrier. It's more about having that strong relationship with your clients. So I first did a deep dive into GCSE business when it was in the middle of COVID actually, and I was writing a scheme of work around business in real life for a college. So it was taking aspects of GCSE AQA business, which is one of the leading boards for GCSE business. It's very popular. 2 exams at the end of the year, and it was to extract some of the key themes and to populate a new module, a new scheme of work that we could teach within colleges, and it's about real life enterprise skills in real life business. So think of it as a bit like Apprentice. Okay, so a lot of young people in college, giving them a business idea and them having to navigate, strategize, launch it and kind of execute with it. That was a lot of fun, a lot of creativity in my work. And then with that comes the actual execution when it comes to the teaching with the AQA board. So I've had a lot of flexibility with my work of not just working directly with boards and teaching, but also putting my own kind of stance on my work and creativity to be able to teach that as well. The difference is the content. The structure of the exam papers are very, very similar. Multiple choice questions and then open-ended questions, either 2, 4, 6 or 8 marks. And at the end of the paper, you have case study questions. So they'll give you a case study, and it could be a real life example of a business. HelloFresh, for example, the business has expanded and grown from 2017 to where it is now. And then you'll ask questions about that case study, and that could be anywhere between 6 to 12 marks. Both of the exam papers are formatted very similar, but it's the content within the exam paper that's different. One will focus more on the first 50% of the course, the other the second 50% of the course. I think something that I would really add in terms of this industry is, why is education so valuable? And I firmly believe that education is so valuable because it will always be on a trend. When we're looking at higher education, so this involves colleges, university and above, masters, PhDs, they're always going to be trending. And the reason being is that I firmly believe the best investment that you can make is the investment in yourself, in your own education, and us as parents as the investment that we can give to our children as well. And that in itself is key because that opens up so many doors. And this is why this is an area, this is an industry that's on trend, and it will always continue booming, because it's the investment in yourself that you see at the end of it. There are different exam boards and there's different papers that you can go through.
We can cut this one, no worries.
Yeah, no, that's okay. An example is functional skills, which a lot of students that are a second language take when the ability is maybe not as such that it's GCSE. So just below that is that you have functional skills, maths and English. There's level 1, 2 and 3. So there's different gradients. Ideally, GCSE would be a great avenue to go down, because if you're looking at an international student, it's a high caliber of a GCSE. However, a lot of colleges will also accept functional skills. Depending on what you're wanting to study, really depends on the course that you should be taking. So to the ones that I've already worked with.
Yes.
To continue being fantastic in every way. Every student, every person that I've worked with is so unique in their own way, incredibly talented, very, very wise, and very special in their own unique talents. So one of the areas that I always like to address is to always keep things bespoke, which means to always have it tailored around them and to work on their strengths. There's a lot of research from Harvard Business University around this when it comes to developing individual strengths, particularly within education. And the one proven statistic is that when you focus on a student's strength is when you see the most results. It's not when you necessarily focus on the weaknesses or the development areas, as we like to say. So it is important to focus on what you need to in order to pass exams. That is a given. However, I've also noticed when it comes to some subjects, when you actually nurture hidden talent, you actually see huge results. I did business. I got an A in business. I did psychology. I did get an A in psychology. I did both Englishes. I got an A in both of my Englishes as well. Maths, I got a C. Well, and I don't teach maths. It's not my subject, nor is science either. But no, the subjects that I actually studied are the ones that I teach as well. Mainly because A, I've got the experience, but B, because I enjoy them. You have to love and have passion for what you do. If you don't, then it shows. So it's changing a lot. It's one of the subjects that you have to regularly review because the content of it is changing a lot. For example, EU law has been a huge module in university and A-level law, a huge module. As of recently, it's starting to get moved out and we're having new legislation being put into the module. So law is one of the subjects that I would always advise to monitor quite closely because the content does change often. Whereas English Lit and English Lang, it seems to be quite consistent. The only changes is usually the poetry or the books. And again, they usually are recycled. So what they used 10 years ago, Mice and Men, for example, To Kill a Mockingbird, they're not using that now, but they're going to bring it back, and they used that 6 years ago. So it's usually recycled.
Recycled, yeah.
That is, so the American law is very different to the UK law. You either have a practice you either have a qualification to practice in 20 plus states or a qualification to practice in another 20 plus states. New York and California bar are different. What's similar between them is that you need to pass a qualification called the LSATs, and the LSATs is almost kind of like an overview, multiple choice, ticking boxes exam to take, and it assesses your level of ability to be able to analyze, to be able to demonstrate problem solving, a bunch of skills. And then once you've passed that, you can, and some other qualifications, you can go and study.